Hey y'all, so I just wanted to do a workout here specific for North Carolina, pulling some trends and information. Alright, so we're starting off with the first and foremost, the date that I started looking at was having it set with the 224 draw. That was on the 22nd of February. And when you're taking a look at this, you're going to see certain patterns that are trending, certain patterns that work. There's a couple of different ways you can watch just based off this system that is a pattern flow. If you take and write down all of your numbers consecutively, all the way up to the draw point, you can check and see these things and watch how they play and use this as a guide to kind of determine based upon what workouts you're using for your state. So the first one I want to point out is looking at the 224. All right, the twos that were in this one played out as a 7. It mirrored over for the next draw. Now, not only that, but if you look at the 3-draw playback, when you're taking and looking back 3 draws, you will see those twos came back out as a 7. All right, another thing is that you want to notice is that on your following draw, you had your 3. It carried over for the next night. All right, then you have your 7 that actually doubled up again as a mirror pair and play the 2-7. Now, following upon that, you will see that you have on your 3-draw playback predicting out for 3 draws later. If you look at this one going backwards, you can see that it actually carried over that 7-3 that was in this one and brought it back to right here as a 7-8. Another thing is that when this carried over to an 8 for this one, you can also see that the 2-7 played again. All right, you're taking a look at this one, the 8 carried over, the 5 mirrored over, and then you have right here the 7 carried over. So it's actually the same numbers, they just mirrored it up differently. Mississippi recently had that happen as well. All right, so another one that we're going to look at is we're going to focus on this one. You'll see that the 7 pulled into a 2. You have your 0, it carried over. You have your 6 from this night, it carried over. You'll notice that the 0 from this one carried over to a 5, it mirrored over. And then right here, you'll notice that the 2 came. Now, you can always go back every 3 draws and look to see which ones play together. A lot of times, if you do a combination of the 2nd and 3rd draw playback, you can determine a lot of your numbers based off those 2. So even if you did just take a look at those 2 sets of numbers from your 2-draw playback and your 3-draw playback, 300 fell. 3 and 8 are the absent numbers out of these 2. It came. The zeros is what was played in both. They came. So sometimes that method works really well. Not always, but sometimes. You'll notice also that you have your 3-0. It did not have anything carry over for the next night. But if you look for your 3-draw playback, you've got 1, 2, 3. Guess what? That 3-0, it carried back from the 3 draws. All right, so then you started back with your 7s being hot again, right? Because you know 2s and 7s have been hot on this pattern. So we're taking a look at the 2s and the 7s. All right, they carried over again for another night. And then we have, if you look at the 2 and 3 draw playback, you'll notice this would be your section right here. All right, 1, 2. That would be your 2 draws. That 3 mirrored over to an 8. And if you look back one more, you have 2, 8, 4. There's your 2 and there's your 8 that played in off of it. Now you'll see out of this, the 8 was mirrored over. All right, then you'll see that the 9 was carried over. So if you go back, again, like I said, watching the 3-draw playbacks, you'll see that that 9 actually played 3 draws ago. So a lot of times you can pull that information. And if you look at the 2-draw combined with the 3-draw playback, you'll see that that 1 was sitting right there. There was all these 7s. Chances of another 7 coming that night was not very likely based on how heavy it had been. So looking at this, you're using your 9, and then you combine it with something from this side here from the 2-draw, that would have been your 6 right there that was mirrored over, the 1 and 6, and it played right there. You continue over every once in a while. They can't keep the same rotating, pushing over one pattern. So what they have to do is they have to throw something off, which usually happens in all states for that day, or most all states. And in this specific one, this 387 happened on February 28th, and I know a lot of different states had the same type of routine change on the number patterns that were dropping. But you'll see here, if you were to look at this one, 1, 2, 3, 3-draw playback, 387, there's your 7-8. So see, even though that may not work off of carrying immediately over, if you go to that 3-draw playback, you got your number. 387, 378. It came right there. So then if you look at this one in your 3-draw playback, 930, 966, look what happened 3 draws later. You had your 0, you had your 6, there's your 3. Sometimes it falls just that simple, just by combining those sets of numbers. Doesn't always do that, but it can give you a benefit in looking at potentials for your next draw, especially if they're working out, lining up in your workouts that you're doing. So once we had that one, there was no connections between specifically those two. However, your 3-8, it carried right through here. You have your 3 that pushed over right here, and then you have your 9 that actually played twice in this one. That 9, see how it played 9, 9? There's 3 of them right here, 9, 9, 9. It mirrored over the following draw. They do that a lot. So if you were to have played a number this night, if you were wanting to play 196, your best bet is to always mirror that one number that is heavy and play the 146, because guess what? You would have at least got a small win. So that carries in for there. Now from 146, you guys pulled off a 272. You need to run a 646 rundown, 246 rundown, and a 482 rundown. Any combination of those that are some short rundowns, you'll be able to gather some information off of that moving forward. Now another thing is too, and this pattern, these trends work in all states. You just have to write it out and do them, and just keep up with them. That's all you have to do. Just make you some little markings, make it however is easier and neater for you to understand, and just continue to follow the pattern. After you do this for like a month, and you do a month's worth, your brain really starts getting trained as to seeing things of what's going to carry out. You'll start seeing it ahead of time. So every once in a while you'll have a break in it. And so, I'm sorry guys, my video cut and I'm having to edit in the second half of this video. But you'll notice that the break will happen, and that's just giving you a chance to kind of refresh a new pattern. It will establish. Sometimes it may take you a few draws to gather it, but it is still going to be there. Sometimes even after the break, like I mentioned earlier, you can still do a 3 and 2 draw playback to help gather your digits for the next night. Alright, so one more thing I want to point out, being is that the coldest digit is 5. If you look, you'll see all of your stuff right here. You'll see a 0, 1, 2s, 3s, 4s, your 5s are up here, your 6, 7s, and then your 8s. So like your coldest digit that's really due is going to be right here. The only other time it played was right here based upon this short time frame. So if that's the case, you're going to want to see which digits are opening up for you to be able to play a 5 again. So right here, you would have this 0 traveling in, and right here. So we know that the zeros are coming out, so it's very, very likely that you're going to start seeing that 5 hit the board in the next few draws. So what I would suggest doing would be run a 646, a 428, and then run you even possibly an 888 workout for this one. Maybe even do a 422 workout. They're all short ones. Combine them, look at all of them, see what is repeating and standing out the most next to your date sum. Now today's date sum is going to be a 6, which will mirror over to a 1. So I would keep in consideration that if you're looking at this, go back 3 draws, 1, 2, 3. It's possible they're going to pull something that is from here back off into your next draw. They could pull it with a cold digit, or they could just keep it in rotation with what's going on. But I would recommend doing that and checking to see what's happening in regards for what shows on your workouts. So I'm hoping that this will help you guys, and good luck. I'll see y'all soon. Later, y'all.